This is now a completely boneless piece of perch fillet. Tell me about these fish, brother.
Well, these fish were not caught by me and not by you. No, I got them from a dear friend of mine who's caught them in the river today.
So these are among the freshest fish you can have.
Yes.
These are perch. They have put them up on the table.
Yeah.
These are some smaller perches. I can see there's at least one real nice one in there. If they come up a few medium sized. Oh, they're slippery. Oh, this is a good one. That's a nice, lovely one. I'm gonna do what most of you won't be able to do when you're out. So today we're going to try and show you how to, what we in Sweden call pantsing. Pantsing a perch. It's when you remove the fillets and the skin and also cut away the bones. And if you hear any weird sounds in the background, that's just our dad and he's pulling some nails from the house. Just give it a quick rinse to start off. Okay. So what I usually do when I'm filleting a perch, I prefer not to gut them first. I just go in with a sharp knife. I use a filleting knife right now. I go in just on the top of the head. I follow the spine and the fin on the side, just piercing the skin, nothing else. And go all the way back to the tail end. I'll do the same on the other side. I'm going to do it from the front to the back, so it's going to be a little bit hard for you to see, but it's just the same as on the other side. Nothing to, if you accidentally go a little bit too deep here, it's not the worst, but you want to go as shallow as possible. This is where there's like a ton of different methods to fillet a perch. This is the one I prefer. Just put my thumbs underneath the skin of the fish, and then I push straight down in between the skin and the meat of the fish, and you just peel it back like a banana. Try to get as much of the meat to not come with the skin, just leave the meat in there.
Looks like you've done that before.
Yeah. Make sure you go all the way up onto the gill plate here, so you don't want to lose any of that meat later. Then you go all the way back and pinch it. And here you can have a look. I'm pinching it behind this fin, pinching around the meat. Actually, I'm pinching on top of that fin, but I put my finger through right behind the fin. And then I loosen the fin, so I go forwards on the fish. And now I've separated the fin and the fin bones coming out here. And as soon as you've got that fin loose, you can just pull out the tail, turn the fish around, and now you have a fish that looks like this. You can see that? You turn it upside down on the table that you're working on. You put your thumb in right where the butt of the fish is, and you just grab the fin on the skin, and you pull them apart, and you can get them all the way up to the head. Then just break the neck loose, and you have the head and the skin of the perch with all the innards attached to it. Well, technically not all of it. This is some roe on the perch as well. So what's left in the carcass of the fish right now is just the float thing that you can just scrape out with a knife or a spoon or something. Try to get all the blood out. We will rinse these all later. And we'll do a recap now. We'll put this to the side and we'll do the same thing with the big one. And this thing that I'm doing right now is the bigger they get, the easier it is almost. As long as you manage to poke a hole in the skin, and we go down one side of the spine, like that, and we poke another hole, and we go down the other side of the spine, just through the skin, don't go too deep, all the way back. We make sure it goes all the way to the front. Get our thumbs in between the skin and the flesh. We peel it. And we grab it on the behind the fin, and we pull the fin out of the meat, and the fin is released. There's the fin bone. We pull the tail out, flip it upside down, grab all the innards, and we take off the head. And this is where you can see, like, some people might think it's a waste because there's a little bit of meat still left on the skin here. The amount of meat that is left is just, I'll try to fillet it out of there. That's like the thickness of the meat that's left on there. It's almost like a sashimi piece. You can see through it almost. So I'm not worried at all about leaving that in the, like, letting it go to waste, because it's just such a minimal part of it. Give it a quick wash so it's easier to see what we're doing. Give this a wash as well. Okay, the next part what you want to do is, you can see that there's a line on the fish here. Easier to see on this fish. But there's a line that goes in the middle of the spine all the way down the fish. And this is where it has its bones along this line. And you can hear them if you go with the back of the knife and you scrape them. I'm going to go close to the mic. You can hear them, and you can see them if you come really close. They are right here. Tick, tick, tick. There's a line of bones there that go straight from the spine out into the flesh, and these are not like the rib cage, a little bit above. And we try to go as close into these bones and straight down into all the way down to the spine. And here I actually went just a hair below them. So, and you go back until you can't feel the bones anymore with the knife, the back side of the knife. So around here is where the bones end, and I'm just going to go straight back like that. So now I've just made that incision, one down here, one straight down. Then I go in from the spine, almost like we did earlier. I cut long strokes along the spine, and you kind of want to get as close to the bone in here as possible, but not go through it. That's almost what I did. It's really hard to do this while showing. So now you've separated this really nice piece of fillet. And once you reach this point, the fillet, you can just put your knife underneath and just ride the spine out. And this is now a completely boneless piece of perch fillet. And this is the meat that you're actually leaving on the carcass, but not all of it's meat, because remember, these bones come up all the way through here. So if I cut away these bones and I go follow the rib cage down, this is the actual piece of meat that I'm just usually leaving on the carcass. It's not a lot of meat to leave behind. So let's do the same on the other side of this big one. I start off by finding the middle line of the fish. It's quite easy. It's just then we listen for the bones and just no bones, no bones. That's where the first bone is, I think, around here. Goes. Do the diagonal cut, then I do the just along the bone section here. You can always just feel with your fingers as well if you've left the bone on the right side, and I have. I can feel all the bones there. And this is like the better side to do it from. You put the knife down here, you just angle it, and you follow the spine, backbone of the fish. Really hard to do without keeping the fish still and trying to show the camera the cut. And then when we go back to the last bone, we just put the knife down along the spine and we just saw our way back. I mean, you could probably scrape this with a spoon if you want to get all the 100% of the meat out. There I actually left a little bit too much, but it's good on the other side. And if you got any little pieces like this left, you just trim them away. That's two nice pieces of fillet. Just put them in the water. I prefer this method because of the speed that I can feel that I can work at. And it looks like there's a lot of meat left on it, but as I showed you, it's like this is the actual piece of meat that's on there.
It's more like strips of meat in between the bones.
Yeah.
You could probably cook a decent fish stock of it, if you like, or?
I don't think so. I think there's too much like protein in it. It will go all cloudy. But you can take all these pieces, and you can also scrape this with a spoon and get all the little shreds out, and you put it in a food process with like a little bit of flour, and you get some nice fish meatballs.
Ooh.
Jag kör den också. I'm not gonna try not to stab myself with the filleting knife.
Fiskefrikadeller.
Yep.
That's what they call it in Danish.
Fiskefrikadeller. That's what you mean.
Something like that, yeah. Eller fiskekage.
Yeah, and fish cakes, yeah.
As you can see, when he does it without explaining what he does, it goes a lot faster. That's one fillet.
And I prefer this method instead of, some people usually get the tongue out and pull all the fins and stuff if they want to try and keep it, but I think it's just creating a lot of extra work for very little meat extra. This piece is the best. I think you should take that piece.
This piece? I'll take this piece.
Guys, if you enjoyed this video, want to see more of this kind of video, please hit that like button, leave a comment. If you want to see some other recipes, let me know. And please subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.
I apologize for everything.